Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 59 of the Parenting Autism Podcast. You can find us on the web at www.parentingautismshow.com. And if you want to reach out by email, it's parentingautism@att.net. My name is Chris. I'm joined by my lovely wife, Sandy. Hi, Sandy.
Hey, honey.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good.
Are you ready to knock this one out?
Let's knock this one out.
All right.
Yeah. And you mentioned the email address up front. And since you've been doing that, we have been getting more emails, which I'm glad.
Yeah.
It's nice to have people reach out to us. In fact, we did the last contest, and I think you were having people come in through Facebook this time, but we also had some people that emailed us. So I want to give a special shout out to them, because when you write us with your story and a little background, you know, about your journey,
nice.
We really, really appreciate that. And we had Lindsay and Kristen and Marcia and Kimberly reach out to us. And so we just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
And we hope that this will encourage more of you. You know, if you just want to say, hey, I found you and it's really helpful, we appreciate that. Or if you have specific questions, we always like that too. So I just want to put that out there and say thank you.
Cool. So speaking of the contest, we are going to have Bryce come in at the end and draw our winner. So we entered all the names that were on the event that said they were going and on Facebook, and then we also entered everybody that emailed in.
Yeah, so we have a bag full of names this time.
Yeah,
so
cool.
It'll be fun. And again, we don't announce what the prize is. The winner finds out when it's in their mailbox. I like to keep it that way.
That's all Sandy.
That's all me, but it's fun. I like surprises.
Okay.
Happy surprises.
Yeah.
All right, so where are we going to kick off here? You want me to kick off first? You want to kick off first?
Go ahead.
All right, I'm going to kick off with...
I know you want to.
Sure. Well, this is pretty recent because it's been a couple of weeks since we've been on here. And last week, we were able to finally meet with Bryce's BCBA and go over the new ABA plan. So just to kind of bring everybody up to speed who might be new or... don't remember. But anyway, Chris and I took a pause from ABA back in the summer just because after Bryce turned 7, we were just finding, actually it was when he was 6 and about to turn 7, we just kind of found that we were at a stalemate there, and he had outgrown the other plan, so we were looking at getting a new plan. His tech that we adored and that was with him so long, she couldn't be with him anymore. And then we were having scheduling conflicts, and it wasn't coming together. And you know what? When it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right for a reason. I feel like God was separating us from ABA, right? So I was a little sad about that because I'm like, oh, I still feel like he needs help with behaviors. But as we know, we've been told since Bryce was 2 that ABA should really be about the parent learning how to be the one to help him all the time and not relying on the ABA tech. So we said, okay, well, we'll do this. And then we stopped the plan, and there was just a little bit more time left. I guess I should say that. So his BCBA, she said to us, well, you could... stay on and I could write the plan and you guys could be the techs, basically is what she was saying. And at the same time, you and I were like, yes, at least that's what I was thinking. And I think you posed the question. So that's what we did. We did the whole questionnaire thing. We set up the new plan, which we've mentioned a couple of times, but this is the first time that we actually got to sit, review the plan, and start making the changes and working the plan. And that's what I'm excited about, because it really was us sitting down and saying, okay, this is the plan that's been approved by the insurance company. Now, are there any changes we need to make? How's it working out? And already out the gate, I was questioning, well, what's the difference between a tantrum and a meltdown for us to mark down how many times this occurs on a daily, day. I can't even talk, man. Every day. I was just going like that. So we were talking about it, and she goes, well, what's the definition that you have now? And I said, well, I will say tantrum, but then I think people think a tantrum is like what a child throws when they fall to the floor and they get all dramatic, and it's not really tied to autism and beyond his control. He's just wanting his own way, or not happy with something we've told him that he needs to do. I think that should be a tantrum. I said a meltdown to me is like where it goes on and on and on. And it's like, and then you chimed in and says, like he loses control of his emotions. I'm like, yes. So can we break that down into two different things? And she's like, yes. So I'm like, yay. So I wrote down what is actually in his plan now, because I thought this would really be helpful to other parents, especially when they're trying to describe it to somebody, because there's still so many people that don't get our world, and they don't understand what we mean by air quotes tantrum or air quotes meltdown, right? And I don't have time to define it for everybody, but people in your close circle, you do want them to know, like my parents who he stays with.
Because they need to know what to do if it happens.
Or Missy, yeah, that's what, or even at his therapies and stuff. So a tantrum now is any instance of Bryce crying, falling to the floor, and refusing to move. Mm-hmm. Now, where does it go from being a tantrum to a meltdown? Will be Bryce appears to lose control of his emotional responses, crying, perseveration on topic, could drop to the floor, could hurt himself, or could slam his body into furniture.
Yeah, so the meltdown would be the episode where we can't get him off of the topic. Like we've tried redirecting and he just won't do it. We have to try removing him from the environment, and that's not working. That's the full-on meltdown.
Yeah, that's when it's full-on. Now, there have been, and sometimes a tantrum can lead to a meltdown. But the other night, we had one that really wasn't, I don't think it was really tantrum, because Bryce brought this up on his own, but it was a meltdown waiting to happen, and we were able to change it. Mm-hmm. And what happened was we had air mattresses blown up. Mm-hmm. And there's another part to this story that we'll talk about with your YouTube video. Mm-hmm. But this specifically was 11 o'clock at night. I don't know why we were up so late. I can't remember why. There was a reason. And it was time for bed. And then all of a sudden, Bryce is like, oh, no, we forgot to let the air out of the air mattress. Oh, no, we already did that. Oh, no. He was upset that he didn't get to let the air out of the air mattress. So he wanted us to blow it back up so that he could let it out. Well, we're not going to do that at 11 o'clock at night. Right. So you did a really good job of immediately trying to take his mind to something else. I don't know if you were doing your Mickey Mouse voice or what it was. I can't remember all of that. And then I could tell, like, you got him giggling and you got him laughing. But then as soon as you stopped, he'd go right back to the mattress.
Yes.
And then you would get him off of it again, and then he'd go back one more time. So I know I was in here in his bedroom with him and laying down. And so you got him to the point that you could leave, but I was just taking his comforter and like putting it over. I was like, don't you say that about the mattress, and just making it fun and laughing. And we got his mind off that skip. Yeah. And he wasn't stuck anymore. And we were able to go to sleep. I got him talking about something out. That is definitely a meltdown that was waiting to happen. And actually, it was on the way, and we were able to stop it. And I know we've talked about this, like, how can people understand what it is? And when we say his brain gets, stuck, air quotes, stuck, what does that mean? And we've compared that to a record player where if the vinyl gets scratched, it'll play that same little bit over and over and over and over, like a record skipping. And until you can get it past that skip, it's not going to finish the song. And that's just Bryce. If his thought gets stuck, he's not going to move on to any other conversation or any other thoughts.
I'm going to show my age. And when we used to have skipping records, we would tape a quarter onto the top of the needle so that it would get past the skip.
Yes. Hey, listen, vinyl was cool back in the 70s, and then it went away, and now it's back. Right. But anyway, so that I thought that was really great. And one more thing about the ABA meeting, and then we can switch topics. But this was really important too. So I'm really getting familiar with what's on his plan and what I need to track and what does this mean and what does that mean, in a clinical, sense. And I said, I know this has got to be a problem. I'm telling Miss Amanda. I said, but he will get stuck on asking somebody the same question over and over again. And funny enough, I just looked at his plan, and that is one of his behaviors that we're supposed to record. Is because he'll ask us the same question over and over again. And when he does, I would say 9 out of 10 times he knows the answer he wants to hear. He just wants to see if you're going to give him that answer.
Right.
So we've learned to say to him, I don't know what is blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then he'll usually tell us whatever it is. And then if he really doesn't know, he'll say, I don't know. Then we'll be like, oh, okay, you really don't know. But if he does that to someone that doesn't live in his world, they don't know.
He doesn't know.
That
we
he's
don't know.
seeking a certain answer. There's a little friends there, yeah.
We don't know.
Exactly. So they don't know that he's seeking a specific answer.
Right.
So it really was kind of funny. But we were at Cub Scouts last week, and there's a dad that attends pretty much every week that we're there. And he has a daughter that is a scout with Bryce, and then he has a little girl. Well, apparently they must have gotten in trouble the prior week. And he does have this dad has a big booming voice. I mean, if he just speaking to me, he has a very loud voice. And it gets Bryce's attention if he hears somebody with a loud voice, because he doesn't like that. So he must have heard them get in trouble. So he couldn't wait until the next week to start asking him why. He wanted to know why they got in trouble. But he didn't know how to ask that question. So I'm hearing him over there asking him over and over again, why did you take Lily home with you? And he's like, well, she's my daughter. And Bryce is like, well, why did you take Lily home with you? And he's like, because she lives with me. Well, why did you take Lily home with you? Because I'm her dad, So it was like, by the third time I heard Bryce ask him, I went over and said, okay, Bryce, And then I just said, that's her daddy. I say, I don't think he knows what daughter means, but she lives with him, and that's why he took her home. So I got him past that, and he was off of that, but I realize now that he really didn't hear the answer he wanted to hear, but he didn't know how to ask the question to get that answer. He really wanted to hear why she got in trouble, but I really didn't even know that, and I certainly wasn't going to ask her dad what she got in trouble for, because I didn't want to bring that back up.
Right.
But so when I mentioned that to Miss Amanda, she said, oh, he needs to learn how to rephrase his questions. Now, see, talking to you about that, I would not have known, oh, yes, that's what we need to call it, and that's how we need to teach him, is to teach him how to ask it in a different way. Like, I know I will ask him something multiple ways, especially if I think it may not be familiar to him, but I also do it to teach him that there's other ways to ask that question and get the same answer. Because if he's only programmed one way, he's going to get really stuck in conversations or trying to get his answers from other people.
Yeah, I've asked him for more details recently on some of the questions that he asked me, because I really don't know what he's referencing. So he knows now to give me more details, so he'll try his best to give me more words.
And I've heard that described as intraverbals in the autism land. And basically, that's where a lot of times Bryce will express what he's thinking, but he doesn't give you the prelude, so you don't know what he's referencing. And he's just missing a lot of key critical details. I mean, as simple as saying on my video game, blah, blah, blah. Well, he'll just tell you blah, 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 and you have no idea it has to do with his video game.
Right.
So when I've been hearing that, I have been asking him, no, you repeat it this way, and then telling him the full way to do it. Whether that'll stick or not, I don't know. But, and you asking him for more details has been helpful too. But teaching him how to rephrase his questions is something that, I don't know, the light bulb went on, and I can definitely see that's something Bryce is ready to learn, I believe. I think he's there. I think he's ready to be able to learn that.
Okay. Here's a couple more pointers from the conference that I attended. This young gentleman, Stephen, who has autism, looked like he was in his early 20s, was just sharing some thoughts that about his childhood and things that he wished he could convey to parents and others while they're growing up or while they're going out to look for a job. First one says, be upfront and direct. Don't use subtle cues. You know why? Because kids with AST, they can't pick up on subtle cues. So just be upfront and direct. Also, they want to be more outgoing on the inside, but it's hard for them to be outgoing. It's easier for us to ask them more questions, and then they can talk more that way. But he said it's really tough for him to initiate conversations and keep them going. Also, number 3, a quiet, stern voice is better than a yelling voice, for obvious reasons.
Well, that's what I was just saying about Bryce with that Cub Scouts. When
Yeah.
it's a loud, booming, stern voice, it definitely resonates in a negative way with him.
Yeah, yelling is not
It
good.
resonates that way with me, too.
Yeah, me too. Also, it's hard to process information, so they lose control when they are overwhelmed with thoughts. So if you hit them with too many things in a short period, they can become overloaded with what's in their brain and trying to think about all of those things at the same time. And that can result in a tantrum or meltdown. So we have to be careful how much information
Or a shutdown.
we feed them at the same time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bryce is always thinking, we see him just looking off in a daze, and we know something's going on in there. And sometimes we'll ask him, what are you thinking about? He'll say, my turboprop plane, or, whatever it is.
Or he'll say, I'm thinking.
Yeah,
He's just thinking. Okay.
Exactly. So what do you got?
Well, I'm just going to elaborate a little bit on that point because it makes me think, you know me, I'm all about sharing examples. Mm-hmm. But so last week, I had taken him to the ladies' Bible study with me, which has worked out really well because where I go, there's 2 little girls. One's his age and the other is 2 years younger. And they're so motherly and they're so great with him. And we've been able to explain Bryce's autism. And once we gave some explanations, it's really been wonderful. Mm-hmm. Like they get it, which is great. So they get that, right? But they still can't read or understand everything he's thinking, and he still can't quite tell them. Mm-hmm. So I was telling you about this, but I did notice, I was there for, I'm there about an hour and 15 minutes is about how long we're there. And they're back in the room where I can't observe what's going on. And that doesn't happen very often when he's with friends. But one of them came out and said, Bryce he's really lazy tonight. Mm-hmm. And it's because she pretends to be his teacher in there.
Oh, right.
So she's like, he's really lazy tonight. He's just kind of laying there. And then I said to him, what's my name? And he said, Ivy. And I'm like, I'm Violet. So I said, oh, don't worry, Violet. And she was whispering because I said, don't worry. He calls me Daddy all the time, which he does. I said, but he knows I'm Mommy. So it's okay. He just gets a little confused. So she's like, oh, okay. So that worked for her. And she went back in the bedroom. So then I saw him come out and he wanted some water. So I got him water. And then he came back out and gave me kisses on the cheek and said, thank you for the water. So I don't know if they instructed him to go do that because it's a little unusual. I was like, okay. And then I needed my water back. So when I went into the room, I saw him separated from them and over on the floor, just kind of in a daze. And I'm like, you okay, buddy? And he just looked at me. And then they told me what they were doing. And I'm like, okay, and then I went back and finished the study. So when I go to the room, when we're done with the study, the lights are out and they're all laying in the bed. And they told me that Bryce was really tired and that they went through the bedtime routine. They had put water on, washed his face and pretended to brush his teeth and like all of that, right? But Bryce is laying in the bed, wide awake, not tired. And his eyes are just like looking at me like, what am I doing here? But not saying a word. So I say, so he was tired and they're speaking for him. Oh, yes, he said he was tired, So I said, all right, let's get your socks and shoes on. And, and Violet's like, I love you, Bryce. And, that was really sweet. So I said, and as I was getting him ready, I said, "Are you okay? Are you sad?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Why are you sad?" And he said, "The master." So I'm like, okay, who is the master? And I thought he was going to say Violet because she plays his school teacher. Right. And he said, "Master Daddy, their master." And I'm like, "Oh, their daddy?" And he's like, "Yes." I said, "Mr. Caleb?" "Yes." So he was sad because their dad wasn't there this week. Well, he works nights, so he's gone every 4 Wednesdays in a row.
So he spent the whole time there thinking about that and
Over
being
an
sad
hour.
and not being able to tell anybody.
Over an hour he was thinking about that. And when I shared that with their mom, with Brittany, she said, "He asked me when he got there where Caleb was, and I told him at work." But he let it go. You know, he didn't ask anything beyond that. But he wanted to, when I asked, then he wanted to know where he worked. He wanted to know when he worked. Like, he had all these questions about work. So it just tells me that, we got a long way to go with him being able to verbalize his thoughts, especially when he's with people that don't recognize the right questions to ask him to get it out. But, it's just kind of interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it.
Okay.
I'm supposed to say more. Sorry.
No, you're elaborating on me.
I was. I forgot. But I thought that was really, really, that really touched me a lot. And it made me think. And I felt a little sad for him, like that.
Well, he spent all that time where he could have been having fun if he had the answers up front.
Yes, that's exactly it. Thanks for saying it, because that's what made me a little sad. But I'm over it now, and now we're moving on. Okay, YouTube video. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
That where we posted this on YouTube, but you recorded this while I was at work.
Yeah. So Bryce and I, we camped in our backyard last week, right? Mm-hmm. So we're trying to prepare ourselves for Cub Scout camping, and I wanted him to get used to camping and how to do things. So he helped me set up the tent. And we blew up the air mattresses, took everything out there, pillows, blankets, lights, and all that stuff. So then we went and spent the night outside. And we came back in the morning, and I told him he wanted to go play a game. I'm like, no. He was still in his jammies. I said, we have to take our tent down, and we have to bring all the stuff in, from outside. I said, first, let's go get our blankets and pillows, and then we'll bring the mattresses in. So we get everything inside, and I was ready to deflate the mattresses and my little air pillow that I have for camping. And he just has this phobia about things popping that have air in them. So it started with balloons probably a year ago. Yeah. And so he's very scared of balloons. And when I went to let the air out of these things, he was very scared. And so I thought, well, let me just try to talk him through it, and I'll record this while we're doing it, and we'll see what happens. So he was very scared about doing it. You could just see his body language in the video.
Oh, yeah.
So if you guys go to Parenting Autism on YouTube, you can search for the video where Bryce works through his fear of letting the air out with Daddy's help. I forget exactly what the title is.
Yeah, if they go to Parenting Autism, it's the last one we posted.
You can also put a link on the show notes.
I could, and I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, it took probably 20 minutes for me to walk him through each step. And along the way, I was giving him praise for each little step that he took. At first, he wouldn't even go near the air pillow. Like, he wouldn't even get near it. And I wanted him to hand it to me. So we got through him touching it, him holding it, and then him giving it to me. And then we worked through him putting his finger on my finger to open the flap. It's really amazing. It's an incredible video, and you can see literally his brain working through this and him overcoming his fear. And I'm just building him up like, Bryce, you're such a brave Cub Scout, and think about being a Cub Scout. And he really did. Each step of the way, he did a positive in the right direction. I would just give him praise, and we got through it together. And it was just amazing for me even to sit there and witness it as I was recording it.
Yeah, it's a really, really special video. I was like, well, we have to share this. I put it on my Facebook as well. And I had several people that I've seen in person commenting on it. And then Bryce's Cub Scout leader, she called you that night and says, I can't wait until I see you in person. It had me crying. And I know a lot of that was because you used Scouts to help him through this. That's one of their laws. And he really wants to be brave. And we've taught him, it's okay if you're afraid of something, but brave means that you do it even when you're afraid. Even when you're afraid. And so he's learning that. And then he's proud of himself when he is brave and he does that. And I had mentioned to you that the following night, he even had said to Missy when she was watching him, it had to do with the church bell, which he has another obsession about that. And he was afraid to hear it ring. And then when they went back, he says, I'm not afraid anymore because I'm brave like a Cub Scout. So like that really stuck with him. And he's thinking about that.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really amazing because it's a genuine fear for him. And it's also something that we could have been in a worse spot with this. And by that, I'm saying, what if we had gone camping? And then it's time to break everything down. And Bryce doesn't want us letting the air out of the pillow or the mattresses. Instead of being here at the house, can you imagine being at the campground? Like, we would not have anticipated that to be the problem. Here we practice because we thought the problem would be him sleeping outside all night. Right.
Which he did a great job with that.
That wasn't an issue at all.
But imagine, like you said, what if we were camping?
Right.
Okay, it's time to pack up and clean up, and let's just throw in a rainstorm. Oh, my goodness. What if it was pouring down rain and we had to get all this stuff into our vehicle and he wouldn't let us go?
I mean, that's the kind, if you say things couldn't get worse, they could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So speaking of rainstorm, that's a good segue to the monster trucks that we took him to with Michael. So we've also talked on this podcast in the past before about Bryce's fear of rain and thunderstorms. In fact, last year and even the prior year, we've been working on this for a couple of years. He would not even leave our house. And it was when he called our house the Culture Hotel faithfully. And he'd be like, no, I have to go to the Culture Hotel. I remember one time we were out to eat. It started to rain. He was like wigging out. I thought he was going to run out. I mean,
he wouldn't go to therapy.
So afraid.
So
we've really been working through this. And it has been better, but the reason why it's primarily been better is because we hardly have gone out in the past year because of COVID. So when it was raining, he was here and it was a non-issue. So we, the weekend before last, we took him and his friend down to the track to see the monster trucks and the dirt bikes, which was, a big deal for him and exciting to see that. Well, we saw that the weather forecast was predicting for rain. So we took our umbrellas and we took the ponchos in the vehicle. I don't know why we didn't carry them with us.
I think we didn't carry them with us because
there were no rain clouds.
Well, it was sunny at the time, and the stands were about like a half a mile away. So with it being sunny, we're like, let's just leave them in the car and
maybe we're thinking worst case, we'll just come back and get them.
Yeah.
Well,
worst
it was
case
worst
happened.
case.
Yeah.
It started sprinkling, and both the boys were like, I feel raindrops. So, we had to go.
It was a full-on downpour by the time we were halfway
Yes,
to the
and we
car.
were literally running. You had Bryce by the hand. I had Michael by the hand. We got back there, and we just told her, we got to get back to the truck and regroup. So Bryce wanted to leave, and we're like, no, we're not going to leave. We're just going to regroup. Let's see. We're trying to find the radar. And there was actually a truck parked next to us, and we met that family while we were walking there, and their son was also on the spectrum. He saw our parenting autism decal and said, "Oh, you're part of the autism tribe too?" We're like, "Yes." And his son was 14, and we saw them run back also, and they left. They didn't stay, So I felt bad because I totally get that. But we were going to try, and it did clear up. Now it's cleared up. But Bryce is still like, I don't know, because it could happen again. But I'm going to say I'm so proud of him that he did it. And maybe it was because Michael was there. Maybe it's just because maybe it's a combination of, a friend was there and ready to go. We were ready to go.
We got his raincoat on.
We gave him a lot of assurances. We had a raincoat on him. We had umbrella. We should be, and I think he wanted to see the monster trucks, So we got back there and we got to see the whole second half of the show, and it worked out well. So is there anything else you want to talk about today before we wrap up and bring Bryce in here?
I think there's just one more thing that I just want to encourage our audience. Our kids are special. Bryce is special, and, God gave us our children to look after, and he's entrusted us with them to do our best that we can. He's not expecting any more than our best, and he knew that when he gave us these kids that we could handle it. And I know that it's tough sometimes day after day after day it's tough, but we can do it, and the light at the end of the tunnel is not a train. Before we met, I was pessimistic a lot, and when I met you brought that light and that joy into the relationship, and it wore off on me. And now I look for the positive things, and people that are pessimistic and just looking for the wrong things all the time, they can stay in that downbeat, but I've found through having a gratitude journal and having you here to constantly remind me of the positive things, those things have really helped me, automatically now look for the positive in any situation, so it's been really helpful for me. And I just encourage everybody out there that, just take pause and take a few minutes in the morning for yourself, your self-care, to think about the day ahead and how you can combat anything that might come up, and that you will automatically be ready for that when that time comes. The morning is kind of preparing yourself for the day. Think about what's ahead, how you're going to have fun with it, if at all possible, and just look for the positives.
I think that's really great advice. And I will tell you that I personally was never what would be considered a morning person. I used to always stay up late. I would sleep in late. But I've changed that. And I've really changed that because I need to have quiet time. And I only get that quiet time in the morning. And while it may not happen every single day that I get alone time, lately God's been waking me up like around 6 a.m. and I don't have to be to work till 9. So when I can get up at that earlier hour and not feel foggy, that's the key. I'm like, okay, Lord, if you're going to wake me up early, please give me a clear mind. I don't want to be foggy. I don't want my eyelids to be burning. And they haven't been. And you talk about being optimistic or being pessimistic. I really believe what you fill your mind with, who you surround yourself with, really contributes to your thoughts and to whether you're going to be positive or negative. That's why I don't really watch a lot of news and stuff, because I just find it to be more draining and negative. I'm really careful what I'm watching, what I'm listening to, whether it be music, whether it be podcasts, what I'm reading. I want to be uplifted. We're watching more comedies at night, and there aren't very many that we find funny, but if we do, that are clean, and in that we can really enjoy together. But I love it when we end our evening with some laughter, and I love preparing myself in the morning for what lies ahead. And the days that I can get up and get a walk in, that's extra good. And then I'm doing this Bible study now by Priscilla Shire called Elijah. And this is the first time I've done a ladies' Bible study where I have a book and I'm digging in deep. I haven't done that in probably a couple of years because with everything in the autism world, I didn't really feel like I could do that. I'm to a point now that I want to and I need to, and it's been really good. It's just a 7-week commitment. But I have to get up early. There's homework, but I want to learn and I want to grow and I want to be a better mom. I want to be a better wife and I want to be a better person in this world. And the only way I'm going to do that is by
investing in yourself.
Yeah. I watch Bryce, who works hard every single day. Except Sundays. We give him Sundays off. Mm-hmm. He works hard, and that's a lot of hard work for him, doing his therapies and then doing his school. Mm-hmm. Even having to think is hard for him. Mm-hmm. But he gets results out of it. And while we may not see the immediate results, he's getting results. And we were just, well, why can't I do some hard work too to make myself better? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's where I feel right now. And I know what it's like in those, we're 5 years into this journey now. And those first few years, really hard. I mean, we've struggled with depression. We've struggled with a lot of stuff. But now we're able to be at a point that we can do these things for ourselves. Well, for those who are still back there in that age 2, 3, and 4, and 5, where it wasn't so easy, I just really want to encourage them to try, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes a day that you can get for yourself, do it. Because I wish I had done that more days. Mm-hmm. I get to do it a little bit more now than I used to be able to. But that's just that encouragement because, you just got to take care of yourself too. So,
well, let's give somebody encouragement here with our drawing, shall we?
We shall.
Okay. Let me go grab Bryce.
Okay.
Okay, we have Bryce here. Hi, Bryce. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. We're going to have you draw a name out of the baggie.
Okay.
And
draw one name out.
We're going to read that name for our
Here's
contest
the name.
winner.
Can you read it?
Kristen
Kistler.
All right.
Kristen Kistler.
All right. Say congratulations to Kristen.
Congratulations.
All right. She's our winner. Okay,
right.
We'll be reaching out to you, Kristen, to get your address so we can send you the surprise.
Okay. Bryce, is there anything else you want to say to the people as we wrap up today?
Yes.
Yes.
What do you want to say?
And tell them what we did for Valentine's Day. What did you get for your special occasion?
Dixie cream donuts.
Oh, yeah, that was a treat.
And how many donuts did you get?
3 donuts.
What kind?
2 cookies and 1 chocolate frosting.
Yeah. That was a special treat.
All right, with that, we're going to wrap up episode 59. Thanks for listening.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Wonderful.